A few days ago, I did a video on Wealthfront and how to invest and plan for the future, including how to catapult your wealth with really good deals in real estate. Well, you folks went crazy. In fact, over 1,600 of you smashed that like button, and a lot of you left comments asking about, what about this? Well, today we're going to talk about this by exposing all of these other investing apps and platforms and giving you the Meet Kevin report. That is the Meet Kevin expose opinion on all of these various different services and which one I ultimately choose to use. Let's go through each and every single one and give it the Meet Kevin approve or the Meet Kevin reject. Let's see how it goes. So it's a pretty regular day that I end up crawling in what ends up being generally a very typically dark studio here, mostly because then it keeps it nice and chill and cool in here because all these lights are a little hot. And what do? Well, I start journalizing in my composition notebook. That is, I start reading contracts and disclosures on my iPad. So without further ado, let's get into analyzing the following companies: Stash, Acorns, Betterment and Wealthfront, M1 Finance, Vanguard, Fidelity, and Vero or whatever. Honestly, I don't even know why this one is on the list. So first up, we're going to bash Stash. And yeah, that's a pretty terrible pun that I came up with. But here's the scoop. Stash came up with this very novel concept that, in my opinion, appeals very well to millennials. And that is, if you pay either $1, $3, or $9 per month, you will be able to receive a debit card that for every time you make a purchase, attempts to purchase stock in that vendor's company. So for example, if you go and buy $100 worth of product at Apple, which I don't even know if it's possible to only spend $100 in the Apple store, but let's say it was possible, maybe you needed to replace a charger and you're like, oh my gosh, a charger is $100. Then you would get stock in Apple. The concept is brilliant because it hits all of those millennial feelings that, well, I'm being frugal, I'm using a debit card, I'm not spending money I don't have, I don't borrow money, and you get stock back. So basically, you're an investor too. Here's the scoop. First of all, I think most of us already know that there are some major downsides to using debit cards. We won't get into those too extremely, other than to say, honestly, if you're spending any decent amount on your debit cards, you should really be asking yourself, why are you not using a credit card and just paying off the balance every single month? See, when you use the Stash debit card, you are not getting purchase protection, you are not getting extended warranties, you're not getting any fraud protection, at least that I can see on their website, which ordinarily you'd think they'd want to be advertising that pretty clearly, and I did read through their disclosures as well, and had a hard time finding any kind of real protections you're getting with this debit card. But I was very easily able to find how much money you're actually getting back by swiping that debit card from Stash. The Discover and American Express cards give you 1% back. You go on over to Stash, guess what you're getting back? You're gonna get 12.5 cents. That's right, you heard me right. You spend $100 on the Discover debit card, you get $1 back. You spend $100 using a Citi Double Cash card, you get $2 back. You spend $100 at Apple using the Stash card, you get 12.5 cents back. But you get it dressed up as stock, so what does it do? It becomes a tool for millennials to say they are investing in stocks, they are frugal, and they are on the way to fire while using a debit card. Come on, folks, this is too good to be true. And therefore, we must reject this for being a terrible tool for people to use. I'm sorry, but 12.5 cents on $100 in expenses ain't gonna be where I'm swiping my card, especially with no fraud and purchase protections. I'm out of here. Stash gets 0 Meet Kevin endorsement. All right, so now we're going to talk about Acorns. Here's the scoop. Acorns is basically a way for every time you go buy something, like you go buy a grande latte at Starbucks for $3.50, you have the option to round up that transaction amount to the next nearest dollar and invest that difference. So you spend $3.50 on that latte without an added shot, which is kind of boring, but we'll put that aside. You will now have actually spent $4. But by spending $4, you're actually investing 50 cents towards your future. And golly, that sounds really great for the millennials. Hey, wow, we are investing towards our future. But there are two problems with the Acorns model. First and foremost, the amount that you're actually investing with Acorns is pretty pathetic. Let's be real here. If you're putting aside 50 cents on every transaction, and say you make 30 transactions per month using a debit card, which, let's just pause for a second. Did we not just bash Stash for being a debit card? There are no protections here that we can talk about like those that credit cards have. Using a debit card, in my opinion, is relatively dumb. But let's say somehow you're making these roundup transactions in your Acorns checking account. Maybe you're writing checks and for some reason Acorns is rounding those up. Well, what do we end up with? Great. Let's say you have 30 transactions a month. You're rounding up, let's say 50 cents every single transaction. That's $15 that you're investing towards your future. Bottom line is, investing $15 every single month towards your future is probably not going to get you anywhere. Now, you get the opportunity to 2x, 5x, or 10x, or any increment in between your actual roundup, which is good. But the problem is, most people probably won't. Most people that are going to set up the Acorns are going to miss out on the credit card protections and the credit card cashback benefits, while at the same time using a debit card to round up nominal purchases and ultimately invest very little into their future. That is unless, of course, they're investing additional outside money. But if you're investing additional outside money beyond the roundup feature, you'd be much better off investing it into things like a high yield savings account or directly into Vanguard, which we're going to talk about in the rest of this video. So for me, Acorns is a bunch of crap. It's, to me, a millennial targeted service that isn't really designed to be for investors. That's my opinion. I'm sorry if you use it. I'm not trying to hate on you, but the bottom line is, let's bring you to the psychology. There's something known as the pain of paying. And when we use a debit card or credit card, there's a relatively low pain of paying. You're not taking out a $20 bill and breaking that to pay for your $3.50 latte. It's a lot easier to swipe the credit card than it is to take out cash. Well, guess what's a lot easier to use also? Venmo, PayPal, and Apple Pay. Those are almost exciting to use, which lead to you spending more money than if you were using debit cards and credit cards. Well, now let's take it a step further. Imagine this. Imagine Harvard does a research study and says, what is the pain of paying for paying with a debit card that now rounds up your transaction to invest for you? This is much like the same problem that Stash would have, except we buried Stash before we could even get to this part. And the bottom line is, holy crap, now all of a sudden, you're motivating yourself to swipe that debit card because you think, oh my gosh, look at me, I'm an investor every time I swipe this debit card. To me, honestly, it's a joke. They're nominal sums of money. I'm all for you investing regularly. I have built this channel around you investing regularly. I talk about how much I love real estate because it forces you to invest regularly every single month. But this Acorns thing, to me, not only is it likely to be nominal in your investing career, but the psychology of it is doubly bad. Associating spending with investing, this is literally the opposite of what we should be doing in our lives. Terrible idea. For me, Acorns, and I'm sorry to anybody who uses them, a big fat meet Kevin reject. Well, now we are going to talk about Wealthfront versus Betterment. So here's the scoop. I've had a lot of questions about Wealthfront versus Betterment, and rightfully so, because we might ask ourselves, what's the difference? Well, guess what Kevin does when he's alone in this dark room researching topics and ideas? Well, I get on the phone with the actual companies and I find out, hey, what are your pitfalls? And don't think I phrased the question like that. In fact, in the real estate investing course, I teach you how to ask questions correctly so you get the answers you're looking for. And that's what I also apply to these companies. So let's get right into it. Now let's work in the middle of the screen here and start analyzing, well, first of all, what do Wealthfront and Betterment have in common? Well, first of all, Wealthfront and Betterment both charge you 0.25% as a portfolio advisement fee if you use their investing account. Both of them offer you the ability to automatically invest your money, which is also great. I love automatic transfers, but you know what? A lot of companies do that. Not that big of a deal. But unfortunately, this is where things start to break down. See, when you go to open a savings account at Betterment, guess what you earn? You earn 2% per year on your money in the savings account. At Wealthfront, you earn 2.57%. But you might think, Kevin, it's just a 0.5% difference. It's small, it's not that big of a deal. But wait a minute, these are both very different. See, at Wealthfront, you get a savings account that not only yields you 2.57%, but it's FDIC insured up to $1 million. They do that pretty ingeniously by spreading your deposits amongst 4 different banks. So that way you can multiply the FDIC insurance limit by $250,000 times 4, which is how they get to the $1 million FDIC insurance limit, which means basically your 2.5% return is risk-free on your savings at Wealthfront. Whereas on the other hand, you get the 2% from Betterment, but the 2% at Betterment is actually not really a savings account. It is actually an investment into bonds that yield you an average of 2%, which guess what that means? No FDIC insurance. Sure, you might get some securities insurances, but those are significantly weaker than deposit insurances as with savings accounts. Now, both Wealthfront and Betterment, of course, offer you the ability to be able to refer your friends and family, because why wouldn't they in today's culture? Well, Betterment's offer is that if you refer somebody and they sign up for an investment account, Betterment will manage your investment assets for 30 days for free, which I guess if you have a lot of assets, it's not that bad. Unfortunately, the benefit kind of goes away. See, if you have $10,000 invested with Betterment, sure, you might be able to save $2 for that 30 days, but it's really not that big of a deal. On the other hand, if you refer somebody to Wealthfront, you will get your first $5,000 managed for free. If you refer another person, you get $5,000 again managed for free forever. See, for every person you refer to Wealthfront, you get $12.50 per year for doing nothing. You refer 10 people, that's like literally every single year getting $125 in fees waived, which makes Wealthfront somewhat desirable because all of a sudden it's like, it becomes a whole lot cheaper to use Wealthfront as a service. Betterment is cool and it gives you a referral bonus, but it only lasts 30 days, which does go away pretty fast. Oh, winner here by far, Wealthfront. All right, folks, now we're going to talk about M1 Finance. So here's the scoop. A lot of people were commenting about M1 Finance, and I thought, all right, let's go check them out. And at first, I have to tell you, I was really impressed. But then when I signed up for the account, I realized it was really just sort of a way of suggesting, hey, Kevin, you like Apple stock? You like Microsoft? You like Facebook? You like these index funds? Tell us which of these you want to invest in, and then we'll go ahead and just split everything up and assign it for you automatically. And I'm like, well, that's not really an index fund of index funds. That's really just me telling you I want to invest 25% in Apple, 25% in, I don't know, Netflix, and 25% into some funds, and 25% into another fund, and you're just going to place it for me. It really didn't feel like I was being robo-advised. So all of a sudden it became clear to me that I wasn't really being advised for free. It was just a way for me to create a portfolio for free. So I wasn't super jazzed about this, mostly because when I was also in the actual database, It was much more complicated than I would have liked to see. Most people don't have the time to decide what index fund do I want to invest in. You know what, this is too overwhelming. Most people would just shut down and end up doing nothing. So to me, too many minuses, and therefore, I'm out. M1 Finance? Now let's touch on Vanguard. I think Vanguard is unfortunately a little convoluted. The sort of paradox of choice you get, which is a reference to being in sort of the aisle at the grocery stores where all the cereal boxes are, and it's like, oh, there are so many choices, I'm kind of shutting down as to which one to pick. I unfortunately think Vanguard is a victim of that. There are so many funds to pick from. There's so many confusing acronyms. There's so many different expense ratios. There's so many different levels of risk that it's overwhelming. And the vast majority of people, even if you're one of those people that opened up a Vanguard account, you're probably not somebody that has automated your investment into Vanguard. And I think that's a problem. So for most people, look, they should be using Vanguard, but they just won't because it's overwhelming. And the second problem with Vanguard is no tax loss harvesting. And I think that tax loss harvesting aspect, I think it's going to prove to be pretty dang big. To have computers automatically save you taxes without actually you losing money, that's freaking amazing. I mean, that's like, look at all this money you made on your portfolio, then look at how much you saved in taxes. I like that. So Vanguard, we'll go ahead and give them an approve with an asterisk. Now, I just want to make a quick note about Fidelity here. Fidelity also offers funds that are very similar to Vanguard, except Fidelity goes one step further and says, hey, you know what? If you start a relationship with us, forget about like a 0.03%, fund management fee that we're going to charge you. Instead, we'll just let you buy into this fund for free. Obviously, the goal for Fidelity is to earn your business, and this is great, but again, you suffer the same problems. No tax loss harvesting and the paradox of choice. Well, which fund are you going to buy? That's a little bit more complicated, so I think there are some downsides that come along with free. So for me, Vanguard and Fidelity, look, if you know what you want, if you know you want to invest in the total stock market index fund of the United States and that's it, you don't care about dividend stocks, real estate, emerging markets, or all this other stuff, fine, go ahead. Buy the Vanguard, buy the Fidelity. I won't be mad at you for that. Great way to reduce costs. Me personally, I'll throw my money, if I'm going to invest in index funds, into the Wealthfront, refer some people, and then I don't have to worry about the fee. And it's the same thing for me, except it's automatic and it's diversified. Yes, you can set up automated transfers with Vanguard and Fidelity as well. But again, I'm not choosing. And that is a big aspect. Fidelity, we'll go ahead and give them an approve with an asterisk. Now, the last one I want to hit on here is something called Vero Money. Now, I'm not exactly sure if that's Vero or Varo, but I can tell you they are trying to advertise heavily against a Wealthfront by offering 2.8% on savings, or so it appears. And 2.8% is greater than 2.57%. This is great. This is like the race to the top of who's gonna pay me the most money for my savings. But then I scroll down and realize, wait a minute. They really only offer you 2.12% if you do nothing. If you want the 2.8%, you have to do what are known as qualifying activities. And those qualifying activities are as follows. To get a 2.8% yield, you need to have a balance of up to $50,000. That is, they're only going to give you this yield on up to $50,000. At Wealthfront, it's unlimited, but okay, whatever. I think most of us are probably gonna put less than $50,000 into savings anyway, because if we have more than that, we'll probably throw it into getting wedge deals in real estate like we talk about in the course all the time. But anyway, so you have up to $50,000, but then on top of that, you have to do two more things which really make this a no-go for me. You have to make at least 5 Vero Visa debit card purchases every month. I don't use a debit card. This is annoying. This would be a chore. This is frustrating. Now you're making me work for an extra, 0.3%? Screw you, I'm not gonna go make 5 debit card purchases. I'd rather use my double cash card or another card that's going to earn me way more rewards than I could ever imagine to redeem with this extra nominal amount. Then on top of that, you also have to receive a payroll or government direct deposit of at least $1,000 each calendar month directly into your Vero bank account. Well, all of a sudden it's like, wow, they really want your entire relationship over at their account. Otherwise, enjoy 2.12%. Come on, it's like, seriously, you're gonna put me into your little system and then force me to go to work for the extra yield? Screw you guys. So for me, Vero, big fat reject. So folks, there you go. There you have my rundown of these different apps and investment services, why I like some more than others, why I don't like Stash and Acorns, and I think those are lame excuses for investing. I do really love Vanguard and Fidelity. Don't get me wrong, if you have the discipline to automatically invest and choose your own funds, I think Vanguard and Fidelity are excellent choices. If you don't have any interest in learning about these different funds, which I don't blame you, go ahead, go to Wealthfront, use that referral link below so you can get your first $5,000 managed for free, and then go refer some other people so you just don't have to worry about it. Automate it no matter where you put your money and get into investing for your future. I think we all realize investing automatically is the best way to possibly invest, especially if you saw my last video and you watched all the way to the end where we talked about the Reddit infographic and really proved the aspect of investing regularly. Really, really cool infographic. But anyway, make sure in the meantime to follow me on Instagram at @MeKevin. You can also follow me on Twitch at @MeKevin. We'll probably start doing some live streams there just for fun. Maybe we'll play some Red Dead Redemption 2 or some Call of Duty when that comes out. Who knows what we'll do. We'll see what we'll do and when we'll do it. But follow me there at @MeKevin again, and we'll look forward to seeing you in the next video. And if you've made it this far, make sure to leave a comment below with any questions that you have or any future topic ideas that you have that you want me to talk about, and we'll get to it. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.